What's up, you guys? Summer with a new video today, and here to do the next installment of the good, the bad, and the Yu-Gi-Oh! And yes, I'm going to do it on YOSENJU's. This deck has been just doing unreal, just in the spotlight of this game. Currently, it's referred to as the best anti-meta deck right now, and it really is starting to work its way up. Obviously, it hasn't done that well in like YCSs and whatnot, but it has topped multiple regionals, it's topped and won OTSs, and it's slowly climbing the ladder to becoming one of the best decks in the game right now. And it just, for good reason. Everyone really enjoys this deck for the fact that it's anti-meta, and let's face it, for everyone who doesn't like meta decks, anti-meta is basically their go-to, and this definitely exhibits like the main things that you want in an anti-meta deck. You have basically just rank 4 spammage. You have the ability to just OTK your opponent with like just a bunch of monster swarms, double cowboys for game, and you can also support the deck with a lot of traps and a lot of good traps. Who doesn't want a deck that has an Infernity barrier? Barriers at 1, when it was at 3, Infernities were insane, and now that this deck has basically a form of Infernity Barrier, it's slowly becoming one of the best decks. It was able to take out cards that a lot of decks don't have the ability to. And everything is it's able to play a lot of cards other decks can't do. So that's all I want to say about that. We'll just get into it. So what's good about it? We're basically already talking about it. The fact that it is an anti-meta deck, the fact that it does go against Necros, it does go against Cliff Forts, it goes against Burning Abyss, it goes against all these decks, and it has a pretty good matchup across the board. Just depending on how it opens up, how it's set up, it's just like any other deck, especially anti-meta decks, because you're constantly trying to open with a lot of back row. Anti-meta decks just base themselves on summon a monster or set a bajillion traps and just basically control the game from there. And the fact that this deck is able to use cards like Fire Formation Tenki as a searcher, being able to use duality since they rarely special summon, and the ability to just play a plethora of traps. It's literally insane. Like this is just don't go as this is a deck list. This is the version I have on here. I haven't updated it really, but it's able to play cards like Mind Cards. It's able to play Mirror Force. It's able to play Fiendish Chain. It's able to play Vanity's Emptiness. It's able to play, of course, its own counter trap. And I think one of the best things about this deck is that it's able to play Floodgates. It's able to really play Floodgates hard. It's able to play the one Macrocosmos. If Macrocosmos was at 2 or 3, this deck could easily just improvise using them because Macrocosmos and D-Fissure completely lock down a lot of decks, especially it really does hinder Necros having to discard their stuff and it being banished. Now, granted, they are able to still play their rituals, but they do lose their monsters to the banished zone in the process, so they do lose quite a lot of stuff. But other things is, like I said, able to use cards like Mind Crush, able to use cards like Fiendish Chain, able to use, being able to stop problematic cards with the secret YOSENJU's secret move is just amazing. Other things is that the monsters summon themselves. They're a lot like Satellanites, and that's just a great foundation for a really good, well-rounded anti-meta deck. Now, a lot of people don't like the deck because they say it's very boring, but a lot of decks are pretty one-sided. They do the same thing over and over again, and they do it enough times to where you just control the game, and that's what you do. You basically rinse and repeat, and you do the same thing, and it's what gets you your victory. And I think that's just something a lot of people need to understand is that a lot of anti-meta decks, a lot of decks that are generic spammage, basically do the same thing. They summon a bunch of monsters each turn, and they win from there. But what I really like about YOSENJU's is I like their flexibility. I like the fact um, that they're just a new archetype, that they're a deck that came out of nowhere and is able to, really just kind of, start to solidify themselves in the meta. So that's what I think is good about it. What's bad about it? I would say, despite the fact that it is able to play all these floodgates, it is able to, protect itself with a lot of traps and stuff. The deck probably can have at times inconsistent hands, where they do have 3 from Fire Formation Tankies. You are only able to activate 1 per turn, so you always are trying to open comma 1 and comma 2 or comma 2, comma 3, comma 1, whatever, because you're able to just spam them all out. You like to get the honest guy so that you can boost one by 1,000. That's really good, but I think what's bad is that it does, like any deck, it does have brick hands. It does have problems when one of the main meta decks does start off stronger than it does, and it can lose speed and steam, whereas other decks don't. What I think is really cool though is that them being like spirit type monsters, they never leave monsters out. They make cards like Dark Hole and Raigeki completely useless for the opponent because they're never there. So I think that's pretty crazy. Um, and I guess other bad things would be, your lack of getting to a monster. Like I've already mentioned, even though you do have three tankies and those count as monsters, your monsters usually like this is the L, in YGO Pro, they're still going by the OCG names, but the pendulum L helps make the counter trap live, but you usually are setting it in the pendulum zone so that you can keep the trap live. So a lot of times you don't want to summon it if need be. I mean, you can use a defensive wall, but I mean, outside of that, it's not really something you want to do. And I would say the deck just it can be slow at times compared to other decks, and I would say that's pretty much it that would make it bad. It's one of those decks that where you could automatically find something that's wrong with it. I kind of have a more of a hard time finding something wrong with it for the fact that it is a very well, um, it's a very well like put together anti-meta deck because of the way of what it does. It spams monsters, it makes rank fours, and it just protects itself with a plethora of traps like a bunch of anti-meta decks we've seen in the past, like TGs, and just like anti-meta stun in general. And I guess that would be it for what's bad about it. And what's Yu-Gi-Oh about it? What's Yu-Gi-Oh about is the things you can do to the deck. You can go many different routes with the deck, and I think that's really awesome. Any deck that doesn't stay linear, its overall strategy is just something that's interesting and really great in the game because people do get bored with the game, myself included. And when you are able to add different things, it's able to use monsters like Fossil Dyna and Thunder King. It's able to play double Dark Hole if need be because, like I've already mentioned, they're not affected by Dark Hole. They're never on the field. They always bounce to the hand at the end phase. So that's really cool unless you're XYZing. And, it does come up. You are able to play cards like Lightning Chidori, and I think that's really cool because Chidori is an amazing card right now. And other things like Divine Wind of the Mist Valley. This makes it so that you do get your counter trap will stick because when you bounce when they bounce at the end phase, you can special summon one, and then the monster will stay. So then the counter trap is live. So that's what I think is crazy about it. And I would say the most Yu-Gi-Oh thing about it is, let's face it, I've already mentioned it. They have three Infernity barriers. Any deck that has three Infernity barriers definitely has a chance in any format in any meta because let's face it, when you have something like basically like Solemn Judgment or Infernity Barrier, it's very, very hard to lose when you've set up really, really solid. So that's all I got to say, you guys. The rest I'll leave to you. Anything you guys want to say from personal YOSENJU players? What he feels good about it, what he feels bad about it, what he feels Yu-Gi-Oh about it. This was the next installment. I'm going to look into other decks. There are some decks I haven't done. I could update one on Burning Abyss and other stuff, but they're basically just using mass change and whatnot. I'm looking into doing masked heroes for this segment and bringing you guys some more live deck profiles. Just getting everything together. I do have a couple decks that I do want to showcase, as well as updates to my main deck and other decks. But I want to know what you guys think about YOSENJU's. I think it's a great deck for this format. It's great for anti-meta, and it's probably a deck that'll be around for a while because it's not broken. It doesn't use super unfair cards, even though it has three barriers. The situations to activate them aren't as ideal as Infernities and as Solemn Judgment was. So that's one thing that I think will keep the deck around. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up and let me know any other decks you'd like me to do for here on the Good, Bad, and Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'll see you guys in the next video. That's all I gotta say. Thank you for watching.